Good.
Mayor, the mics are on.
Oh, really? 21st. There's gotta be somebody else.
Welcome.
Hello, Rick. How are you?
I was special, that chocolate.
Okay, welcome to the, excuse me, we're ready to go. Welcome to the Beach Mountain July 11th council meeting. If you can mute your phones, we certainly appreciate it, so that nobody gets disturbed. No smoking allowed, of course. And we'll call to order. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Cyclone?
Good afternoon, everyone. Scripture verse for today is, no greater love hath anyone than to lay down their life for a friend. I came across a little short article when I was working on devotion. It has nothing to do with devotion, but I loved it, so I want to share it with you. I hope you'll enjoy this as much as I did. I got the greatest kick out of it. Gerda Keene was a Holocaust survivor. She also was a writer, a teacher, and a motivational speaker around roughly 50-something years after World War II. And I believe this speech was around 1996. And she concluded her speech at a civic club with this little statement. She said, "I stood in the doorway of that factory, and I knew I was free. I saw a stranger coming down the hill with the white star of the American Army on its hood. Two men in strange uniforms sat in it. We gathered them to be Americans. One of the men came towards me, and I looked at him with incredible awe and disbelief that I was looking at someone who cared enough to fight to free us. I was terribly frightened. I looked at him and I said, 'We are Jewish.' After a long pause, he looked at me and he said, 'So am I.' It was the greatest moment of my life. He asked me to come with him to headquarters. He held the door open on the Jeep for me, and he has now been holding the door open for me for 50 years as my husband." Johnny Cash, American musician, probably one of the greatest, best-known musicians of all time in America. Johnny was born in Dyce, Arkansas. His family had 7 children, and they were cotton farmers right here in the middle of the greatest depression we've known. And he was born in 1935. He had an older brother named Jack, who was 2 years older than Johnny. And even back then, his brother Jack had decided to become a Christian, and he had was determined he was going to be a preacher. Well, at the age of 14, Jack went to work in the sawmill to help support the family. He'd only been working there a short time. He slipped and fell into the big circle saw and was killed immediately. Now, Johnny never got over this, and when he graduated from high school, he joined the Air Force. And he got his first guitar then. His brother's death inspired him so to become a man of faith. And he started singing, started out with gospel singing, and continued that most of his life, as well as kind of a sideline. All of his life, he was a man of faith, but he had a hard time. It seemed like Johnny just couldn't keep it straight. Drug addiction and all that. And he'd go from being clean and all till he was having another drug problem. and would be in jail. Along the line somewhere, he met a young preacher named Billy Graham, and he and Billy hit it off and became best friends. So Billy tried to help him and did, but Johnny offered to come and sing at his concerts, at his services there with his gospel music. So Billy took him up on it, and they joked about that all their life there, that Johnny brought some of Billy's church crowd out to hear him sing, and they would have heard it before. And then Billy joked with Johnny, well, a lot of your guys wouldn't have come to church if it hadn't been for you there to do that. So they had a running joke about that all their life. Billy said that he didn't know if Johnny was coming to his services to sing or he was coming to Johnny's crowd there to preach. So, but they had a great relation. But what about over Johnny Cash? Last week was the 4th of July, and one of Johnny's best-selling records was not a song or music, but it was a narration that he did, and I'm sure most of you recognize it. I'd like to share it with you. I was walking through a country courthouse square. On a park bench, an old man was sitting there. I said, "Your old courthouse kind of run down." He said, "Nah, it'll do for our little town." I said, "Your flagpole has leaned a little bit, and that's a ragged old flag you got hanging on it." He said, "Have a seat." So I sat down. "Is this the first time you've been to our little town?" I said, "Well, I think it is." The old fellow said, "I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that ragged old flag. You see, we got a little hole in that flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware, and he got powder burned the night Francis Scott Key sat watching it, writing, 'Oh, say, can you see?' And he got a mighty bad rip down in New Orleans when Pakenham and Jackson tugged it at its seams. It almost fell at the Alamo, besides the Texas flag, but she waved on through. She got cut with a sword at Chancellorsville. She got cut again at Shiloh Hill. There was Robert E. Lee, Beauregard, and Bragg. And the south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a Bertha gun, but she turned blood red in World War II. She hung limp and low by the time it was through. She was in Korea and Vietnam. She went where she was sent by Uncle Sam. She waved from our ships upon the briny foam, and now they've about quit waving her back here at home. In her own good land, she's been abused, she's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused. And the government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. She's getting threadbare and wearing thin, but she's in good shape for the shape she's in. Because she's been through the fire before, and I believe she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up in the morning and we take her down at night. We don't let her touch the ground, and we fold her up right. On second thought, I do like to brag, because I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag. Lord, long may the flag of our United States of America wave in the breeze, and may we never forget it was you who gave us this land. May we never forget those who gave their all defending this land, and we ask that you continue to bless the United States of America and Beech Mountain. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance.
Okay, public comments. Linda, John? Give your name and address, please.
Linda Strom, I live at 211 Wild Daisy Lane. About 4 or 6 weeks ago, a bunch of us were at the club to play bridge, and one of our friends didn't show up, and we tried to call her and text her and didn't hear anything. So we tried to call to get have a wellness check done. Called 911 and got Johnson City, Tennessee. And then that operator sent us to Watauga County, and meanwhile, someone else had the 828 number and called here and talked to the dispatcher. And she said, okay, I'll send somebody out in a minute. And time went by and we called back to check, and they said, oh, I guess I'll send them out in a minute. That was an hour later. And so then I called a friend who I knew was connected to the volunteer fire department. And she said, okay, I'll take care of it. And she called someone else, another mutual friend, found out that the friend had been taken to the hospital that morning. So we called back to here to say, you can cancel that call. We found out where she is. And they hadn't sent an officer yet in an hour and a half after we called for a wellness check. So I don't know if there's something that can be done about the 911 number. Can you get a booster or something so that cell phones can reach the emergency here? Because most people only have that. They don't have a landline. And it could, I mean, she could have been at the bottom of the stairs dying. So I think we'd like to see something done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandy?
Good afternoon. I'm Sandy Carr, 505 Pine Ridge Road, and I'm just coming to say not only thank you to council, as usual, but thank you to all of our residents. We had last Friday our second for the season farmers market. It went really, really well. And on your way out, guys, I hope you'll take a look at some of the photos, especially if you guys are not on Facebook, and see how much joy this event and excitement this event is bringing to the town. And I know you guys get sick of hearing me talk about it, but that's kind of what my job is. But there's about 100 people that work to make the farmers market go off. And actually, one of them sitting here, Sean Royal, he came up with a killer logo. And we really appreciate that. At this particular farmers market, we had one of our visitors fall ill. And because we have 501 and we had 502 there for a short while, the person who ended up falling ill was helped within seconds. And I just can't tell you how, as an event professional, great that is to have that kind of support and that kind of teamwork here at the town, especially when it is for public safety. And I can't tell you how grateful the parents were. And everything worked out fine, and we've got a couple of our volunteers here that actually were at this person's side within minutes. So Chief, thank you very, very much. You know, you hear a lot about, oh, what do our taxes go for? Our taxes go for that, and go for the safety we enjoy in this town, and go for the teamwork and the beauty of this town. And really, really appreciate that. And I see Jimmy looking at me. Jimmy and Fred and White Wolf Lodge, they were so kind. All of our vendors, they give them a little percentage off. And our vendors really appreciate that. And they come up to me and they say, where's our little food voucher? And, you know, even though it's just 10%, Jimmy, it's the thought of it. And they really appreciate being appreciated. So for those of you who have not had a chance to join us at our farmers market, we had over 600, well, we actually stopped counting at 600 at 4 o'clock. We didn't count anymore. So it is growing, and we're very, very thankful not only for the resident support, but we've really had some great media coverage, and it's really starting to give Beach Mountain and a name for a very, very well-run, beautiful town and very, very friendly town. And that's because of you guys, the residents. And I've got some wonder volunteers here that come out and help us pretty much do almost every event that we work on. So just proud to be a part of this town and proud to thank you again. All right.
Okay, I need a motion to open up the public hearing on the bond order to authorize the issuance of a $15 million general obligation water system bond.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to talk about the issuing of the bond?
What was that? Do you mind speaking up, sir? I did not hear you.
You have the agenda in front of you? It's a public hearing on the bond for $15 million. The question is, it's a public hearing if anybody in the public has a comment to make about it. Okay, I need a motion to close the public hearing on the bond.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion on the, to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. New business. Accepting the fund resolution on project, which is the water sewer system project. Any discussion on the bond? I mean, on the grant, on the,
So one's a loan and one's a grant.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We received a $4 million grant with no match, and we are borrowing on the SRF loan, $2,971,745 for a
And then-
total of six.
Our fancy name for water system rehabilitation, is this isn't Lake Coffee, this is something else.
Yeah, this is water main and sewer main,
Okay.
underground.
What was the difference between the $4 million grant that we received versus, wasn't there another $4 million that was received for the skiway? or
Ski loft.
Ski loft project?
This is the same $4 million. You have to now authorize acceptance, and we have to tie it into the SRF loan. So this approval will give myself and the finance director ability to close that loan.
Okay,
It's the same $4 million grant.
okay. Be nice if it was in addition to.
It would be.
Any other comments? Any motion to approve?
I approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I need a motion to bond authorizing the issue of a $15 million general obligation water system bond for the town of Beach Mountain in North Carolina.
Make a motion.
Any discussion on that?
We don't have we don't have an interest rate yet, do we?
We don't. For planning purposes with the bond counsel and our financial consultant, we've used 5% as we go forward. That will get further refined as we get closer to issuance of bonds, if that's approved by the voters.
And any word on the other grants and for this project?
The short answer is no.
Okay.
The update this morning was that the legislature had not produced a budget document that has any information on it. They've got a resolution in place. Senator Hayes' office is telling us that they're working, and hopefully we'll have a budget proposed by the end of the month.
Okay.
The federal grant is still in Atlanta through FEMA being reviewed. We did speak with Brock Long from Haggerty Consulting, who called some contacts in FEMA. That they've approved one of 32. Ours wasn't the one yet. And we tickled the notice a little bit, and we don't know when that's going to come to fruition.
Okay.
So this $15 million is just gonna be a backup plan in case this
This
other
is, yes.
doesn't come to fruition.
If the outright funding grant from the state doesn't reach a certain threshold or becomes zero, and if the FEMA grant isn't enough, and don't forget the FEMA grant is a 90% grant, we have to put in 10%, which right now is about $1.4 million. So this bond issue is to allow the project to continue if in fact those funding sources don't come through. And if the FEMA grant is approved, we'll have funds to pay our 10% share.
And just to reiterate, this is a backup, so it can go away depending on what we end up receiving it. It's not going to any other project up here.
No,
on the
ma'am, it
beach.
cannot. The law is specific, the language that you're going to approve hopefully next is specific to the voters, what the funds can be used for. Even if the voters approve it, it doesn't have to be drawn from. You have 7 years to take any or all of it. And depending on how much money we need to complete the project, it would be available for that use.
Great.
So we could take the 1.4 million out of the $15 million if we receive it, the 10%, or we could take that out of the town to finance the 10%. Is that an option?
Well, okay. If the FEMA grant is approved, we owe 10%
Correct.
of 15 million, 1.5 million. So that would, it's a little less than that because we don't get all $15 million. That has to be paid in any way that the elected officials see fit to do that. So therefore, the bond issue is available to fund that over a 20-year term as opposed to paying for it out of fund balance or going out on the open market and borrowing the money.
Yeah, I said that backwards, but yes, sir, thank you.
Okay.
I make a motion.
All in favor? Need a motion for a resolution setting a special bond referendum and direct the publication of notice of special bond referendum and notification of the Board of Elections.
Mayor, just for the public's knowledge, this actually sets forth the language that would be on the ballot. If you go through your document, it's in section 4, and it's very specific to what the money can be used for. So that,
2879.
so the public is aware of what they would be approving if they chose to do that.
You see the bold? Bond authorization issue $15 million general obligation water system bond for the town of Beach Mountain, North Carolina. That's what the language is going to be on the ballot.
And Mayor, this might be a good time to remind everybody that the decision was made to fund this at 70% on property tax, 30% on the utility. And the reason, and we've all discussed this, the reason that's been done is to spread the burden on all property owners in the town as opposed to just the utility. So 70% is allocated to the property tax and 30% to the utility.
Any further questions? I need approval.
Make a motion to approve it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we've got a very important project coming up. The swing set for the dog park.
It's only $16 million. So the Parks and Recreation Department would like to ask the council for their approval to build this swing set. This is going to be beside of the new Bard Park playground that we put in about 2 years ago. The project has been agreed by the TDA to be 100% paid for by them. We're just seeking approval from the council to go forward and build.
What was the cost of that?
50,000.
80,000, well,
Maybe
50.
50.
No, it's 50.
Okay. I was like, what?
So in the cost that we have approved from the TDA, the cost to build is less than 50, but we've asked them for maintenance money over the next few years, so that's where we got the 50 approved.
And are you extending the Bark Park to fit this, or is that already there?
Yes,
That's part of
so-
the 50,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do it the same way we did before. We'll have our crew do the grading, but then they will come and do the surfacing, take away the curbing that's there and add on to the side of it.
And then the rendering has 4 swings.
Mhm.
It's 4 swings,
Yes.
just making sure it wasn't, okay.
But is it an option for us to take the $50,000 and apply it towards the town hall project and do the swing set project next year?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Can we put the swing set behind town hall?
There's a joke there somewhere.
I'll just leave that alone.
I make a motion to approve it.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Don't leave, Sean.
Hang around, Sean.
That doesn't sound good.
All right, I need a motion to approve a purchase of a fire tanker truck, which will not be delivered to 2026. It's a 3-year to build. And according to our fire chief / town manager, we need it desperately. The last one is, if I read this right, is 33 years old.
Yes, sir.
And it's, you're at your own risk when you drive it, so I think it's a great, I think it's a need.
Mayor, it should be noted that we have this budgeted in the capital improvement plan for 2026. Because of the 40-month build time, we need to order it. There's no upfront cost. The risk is with the builder. However, there is a 30% cancellation fee if the town decides to cancel it. I would, if you choose to do this, I'd like you to acknowledge that this is a sole source vendor because of the uniqueness of the driveline for the truck. We need to have that in the motion to make it a legal purchase. And we did reach out to 3 vendors, and Pierce, through Atlantic Emergency Solutions, was the sole source responsible vendor.
Is there any value to the old pumper?
There is.
Sell it to a rural fire department that doesn't have mountains and hills and where you don't need brakes?
There is value. We'll come back to you in the future when we decide. We've got to make it last for 3 years. So at some point in the future, when it's surplus, we'll ask you to make it surplus. Then, based on the condition, we'll decide what's best to do with it.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve it.
I second it.
Could you add that it's approving the sole source vendor for me?
Is that Atlantic?
Unless you guys have any questions. You got any questions?
Yeah.
So we're approving the Atlantic Emergency Solution
Yes, sir.
As a sole,
as the vendor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, that's because there's such a limited and specific need for this specific type of truck, you can't go bid on it the way that you might otherwise bid on a Ford police car or a Dodge police car.
Do you mind explaining just for the video what's specific about this truck, just so people know what we're spending money on?
This is the largest truck in the fleet. It is first and foremost, it is a fire truck. It's a pumper. It's just like the last 2 fire trucks that we've purchased. So it has a pump and hose and ladders and things like that. What's unique is it also has a large tank of water, carries 2,500 gallons of water, and its ability to bring that water to areas in our fire district and our town that may not have a fire hydrant within 400 feet.
Like my house.
In my house.
I'd
And
go for it.
then in addition, it has to be 4-wheel drive, and actually it has 6 wheels. So it has to be a 6-wheel drive, which is what makes it difficult because of our mountain terrain, more importantly in the wintertime. It also has to have the ability to have snow chains installed on all axles, which means that the clearance between the tire and the body has to be of such dimension that you can put chains on. As well as the type of fire pump, we're getting into the weeds, but because we're at 5,000 feet, in height, the barometric pressure here is lower than it is at sea level. So the same pump at sea level puts out more water than it does on top of the mountain. We have to have a bigger pump and engine, not only for the four-wheel drive, but because of the elevation for the pump.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Do you change the gear ratio of the fire trucks?
Well-
Lower gear?
Yes, the gear ratio is set, but we don't change it. It's set by the factory. The engineers do that, but it's for pulling the mountain. These are not quick responding units. If you've ever ridden in one, they're very slow, but they have a lot of power.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve Atlantic Emergency Solutions for the purchase vendor for the water truck.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 7.6, wildlife science. Anybody want to open for discussion?
I would like to make a motion to do that. Open for discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's have a discussion.
My first thought on this is it may be too much, that we're getting to a point on Beach Mountain where we have a lot of signs. And I couldn't tell the size of these to see if they were very big signs or like the smaller ones that we had coming up the mountain.
Sure. So,
Let me take it.
okay, I was
Before you-
going to say,
So
this is loaded.
This isn't Sean Royal's proposal. He was asked to design 3 signs for your review based on the motif that we have throughout the town. This actually came from a resident who was desirous of putting multiple deer crossing wildlife signs in the town. And I declined that and said that we would design something that met the town of Beach Mountain's sign motif and bring it to council to see if you were interested. I asked Sean to make that design, so he doesn't need to stand here and defend this. The proposal is for 1 or more signs at, he's proposed 2 locations. Really the choice is, do you want more signage? If you do, we suggest something of this nature, or would you not prefer signage, or would you like us to go back and take a look at something else?
You did a nice job on
Looks great.
on the signs, and I agree with what Kelly said. I think that we've got enough signs, and it's one of the complaints that I hear, that most of our residents would like to see less signage. And I personally think that it's not necessary.
I definitely agree with that. I don't think it's necessary. I think that, just to repeat what you're saying, is we're saying that, and at this point, I think somebody made a comment, I mean, I don't want to quote it, but deers can't read, so I think we'll just, we'll forego it. Kelly?
Right.
Yea or she?
I'm a nay on it.
I'm a nay. We'll nay on the.
Somebody's got to vote against you guys on this.
I need a motion to disapprove.
I made a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Time to shine.
All right. Time for you.
For me, well, first I'd like to formally introduce our interim town clerk, Emily Haynes. Emily has taken over the duties and produced the agenda and made sure everything got put together, and she's still here today.
Yeah,
So,
very smooth.
We don't know by tonight, but she's going to
thank you, Emily. Before I get started, I'd ask Sean Royal to come up and give us a report from the Parks and Rec Department over the last 2 weeks. It's been our busy time, and he's got a lot of items that he'd like to report. So, Sean.
Yeah, thank you. As Bob said, it's been a busy time for the town. Parks and Recreation, definitely. We started summer camp in June, so with all that going on, we're strapped in on our staff, but everybody is still in high spirits, and as Bob makes the joke, everybody shows back up the next day, so that's very good. One of our really beneficial things that I believe that we're bringing to the table this year is we have now become a Silver Sneakers, Silver and Fit, and Renew Active center. What this means is anyone that is 65 and older, and if their insurance covers this, you can get a free membership at the rec center. Now, we do get paid per click, so when you become a member using that, still sign in with this because we still need the money. But so far, this has been a big hit for us. One of the advantages that we've seen is we've added new people that have never even stepped into the rec center before. We put a notice in Mountaineer, and the very next day I had multiple phone calls. We've never even been there before, but you offer this, great. So again, as a community fitness center, that is one of the things that we're trying to do is just get people in the door to utilize our facility, our classes. One thing we do have to do is offer specific classes to meet the requirements that are asked of us. So Jared and Kate, they're both taking trainings to do that, but so far, very good reaction from the community on this. So I did a little bit of breakdown of what we've got so far. Basically for us we can actually make money off of this, and I have a few families in mind that when they sign up for it, we will more than double what an annual membership is. So there are benefits. We know there'll be a little fluctuation. We're seeing in our revenue reports spikes in the summer. I think with this, those numbers will sort of filter throughout the year. But again, this is just sort of a trial. We have a 1-year contract or 1.5-year contract. So if it doesn't work out for us, we're out. But again, it's something that we really want to do for the community and just see where it goes. And as I said, it's an added benefit to all those who can partake. So
How'd you come across this program, Sean?
Well, it's not just me. Actually, as long as I've been at the rec center, and many before me has tried to get in with Silver Sneakers. It's been very difficult for us, but every year we're a little persistent with it, and finally we got in. The way we got in with the 2 others were recommendations that were basically somebody made a phone call, said this place needs to be this, and it just happened overnight. So that's how we got all 3. It was just so, I don't know why. I couldn't explain the difficulties of what it has been for the past 10 years that I've been here, but it has been a problem. But sure enough, we got in and it's added. The YMCA in Newland has it. And so a lot of people, especially when they come in on vacation, one of the first questions, I have this, do you take it? And we have to say, no, we don't. But now we can. So again, I hope that it will prove to be a very good program for us. So we'll see how it goes. And as I say, in a 1.5 years, we'll take another look at it and see how our funds are. Then moving on, so our events, other than summer camp, we've had a lot of events going on, and we still have more coming up. Our 4th of July, we had a Sparkler 5K and our family tailgate party. So thank you to the fire department, our volunteers that are here, our police department. Everybody showed up, and it was a great time. Kids had a lot of fun. Then let's fast forward to 4th of July, and we did a new event on the 4th. We had our slip and slide party on the sled hill. This cost us really nothing. I was telling Bob, and I pulled the numbers, just in that one day, we made almost $200 in parking. So the parking lot was full. I knew several faces, and most of them were brand new. So it was really cool to see, and that's one of the things that we like about these events is seeing, newcomers take part in this and just, wow, I can't believe you guys do this. It's something so cool in the community we offer, and then they're going to come back. Then I have Jimmy show up with 200 icy pops, and I get mauled by 200 kids. So I know why he handed them off and ran. But yeah, that was a great addition. I think Jimmy saw it, and he came up and did something. I saw you drive by, Mayor. Yeah, he didn't stop. Yeah. Oh, he could have.
I heard he was slipping and sliding.
Yeah. We even had a few parents take part, and everybody had a good time. So, it's just a cool event. The weather worked out really well for us, so that was very good. So things just happened. Next up, though, next Friday, we're going to bring back our drive-in movie theater. So on the 21st at 6 o'clock, we'll have inflatables and other games, and they're showing a movie around 9 o'clock that night. So
What's the movie?
I think we're going to do Rookie of the Year.
Jaws?
No, we're not going to do Jaws. It's a baseball movie from the '90s for kids, but it's a good movie. I always enjoy it. So I think that's what we're going to be showing. And then I wanted to look into Shane Park. So this is our third year running the park. Summer has been very busy, and we've actually been booking out all 5 sites over the weekends. This has happened several times for us. So just in the month of June, we more than doubled what we brought in last year. So we're seeing, the benefits, and a lot of people are coming. And I love seeing that there's a ton of people down there. And so even though we had major hornet's nest, Sean McNay went and got a bee suit and has taken care of everything. So if you see a guy in full white gear, that's what's going on. But yeah, it's been a busy summer. It's not over, and I mentioned our meeting on Monday. We're already looking to the fall, getting ready for that. And he said he's just looking for Tuesday. So, yep. But the Parks and Rec farm is busy, and we hope everybody come see us, check us out, join Silver Sneakers or Silver Fit if you haven't, and there we go. So hopefully you ladies enjoy it, and that's about it.
Is this a nonprofit organization? How's it work?
So for them, they're obviously paid by an insurance company. We are paid per click. So if you come in, every time you sign in, Silver and Fit is $3 a time you come, and it has a cap. So again, we figured out what the math would be. Roughly, somebody needs to come 5 times a month for us to break even or make more. So I'm not sure how the companies are paid other than their insurance, but that's how we're paid. We're paid once a month. We'll run our report, and we can say XYZ person came, and then they send us the check.
And then they pay the fee for whatever classes that they take as well?
So that everything's included in our memberships. So they sign in, they're in the class.
Okay.
And new equipment, is there any new equipment needed?
Not for the classes that we offer. There are a lot lower movement classes, so some of our equipment's not needed.
So you mentioned Shane Park. At some point, you and I went down to Shane Park 3 or 4 months ago. I personally like to discuss at some point having some restrictions with RVs being able to park down there, being able to expand, have the utilities. We already have the bathrooms, the showers, but expand on that. And I mean, we're an outdoor community, and I think that would be an added benefit to our community.
Absolutely, I'm up for it. We can talk any old time you want to. Let's have a discussion. I've got plans and ideas, and a lot of people do call. We're coming in with an RV or a camper van, and I have to tell them otherwise. But I think absolutely.
But right now, we're shelving
Yeah, I said later.
it. Because if you remember the agreement with Shane Park, that's not available at this point. But there's a new council coming, they might change their mind.
So if that was the agreement then, what's going to change the agreement when the new council comes in?
Any agreement can be changed if you want to vote on it. But that was the original agreement. That's what the town allowed Shane Park to exist, because we own the land and we would not give them permission until that was put in the agreement. Just as a background on it.
Sure. Real quick, I have spoken to the Shanes on some of this, but like you said, it's a table.
It had nothing to do with them, it had to do with the town. The town.
Oh, yeah.
The town owned the property.
Yes.
Shane Park had to be developed on our town property.
So that was a different council then that made that decision. We'd be able to put this on the calendar and discuss it?
You were part of it.
Huh?
You were part of it, Jason.
Okay. But I'm saying, that's a different council then than what we have now. We'd be able to put it on the agenda for a discussion.
No.
I mean, do you guys want to discuss it?
I wouldn't mind discussing.
Jimmy, you have an opinion?
I got a couple months left, I'll leave that to y'all.
Okay.
I don't want to get into major discussion today, but I make the agenda, and guess what? It's not going to be put on it. After December 1st, put it all you want.
Okay.
Subject closed. Let's move forward.
Thank you, Sean.
Absolutely.
Mayor and council, if you could turn to page 42 in your agenda is our financial report. And as I promised last month, I wanted to get us towards the end of the fiscal year. This is through May 31st, so we have June 31st to be reported to you next month. Of importance, up at the top, we're at 91.67%. That's the benchmark of the budget year that has expired. And if you go all the way down to expenditures, I'm happy to say that every department is below their expenditure benchmark. And at the town as a whole is at 80.95, which is about a 10.7% decrease below the benchmark. So I just want to make sure that you and the public know that the funds that were appropriated last year, the town did better in the budget than what was approved, and we'll have some surpluses to put in fund balance at the end of June 30 audit report. Same with utilities and sanitation. Sanitation is running right on the edge, which required some adjustment as you approved in the budget. On page 45, I gave you a new 45. We had a problem with the margin being short. All I really want to point out is in the first section, general fund, fund balance in July of '22. We started with an audited fund balance of $6,001,190, and through May, the change to fund balance is $8,415,004. That reflects the additional funds that were appropriated last year, and you were asked, and I was asked, what we were going to do with the extra money. I said I wasn't going to spend it. As of May 31st, we haven't spent it. We finished the year, we're in the new budget, and you'll see once the auditor is complete, we'll have a increase to our fund balance. Let's see, I met with DOT representatives. They were soliciting for projects on the state road out here. We talked about a lot of things. Maintenance was not one of the projects that they wanted to discuss. So we asked, and they agreed to put the Deer Creek Falls curve, hairpin turn in front of Deer Creek Falls, where we have multiple accidents where trucks get stuck and block the road in the wintertime. They've agreed to consider that it meets their criteria and put that in a project. When the mayor and I discussed, he said, what decade? I think you said 20 years, actually. But you don't get anything if you don't ask, so we'll see if that comes to fruition. Just a couple reports. The fireworks and the pig roast were very successful. We had great weather, good attendance. Then we had the resort, had a concert, and then the club had fireworks all throughout the weekend. So great 4th of July week, and it got some complaints about fireworks, but basically it was a very festive time on the mountain. Sandy Carr reported on the farmers market #2. It was very well attended. Again, good weather, and we're looking forward to the next market, which is August 4th. It's the first Friday of the month over in the parking lot. We've installed, Sean's department has installed flower baskets on the poles, power poles next to the banners, mostly in the center portion of the town. We got some good feedback on that, and I've asked him to, and he's ordered them, and the materials are here, put up more of those. The Town Hall and Visitor Center project, we're actually ahead of schedule. Weather is cooperating, and you'll begin to see the framework of the building take shape by the end of the month. So things are going well there. The ski loft project, The state has still not approved the final plans for construction, but I asked our engineer, West Consultants, to proceed to bid. We have a hard date of April 1st of '24. We've got to start digging dirt up there. So we will go to bid here within a couple weeks. We'll have a narrow bid window, and we'll get a contractor before you to approve, so that we'll have the fall and winter months to prepare, so that come 8 o'clock on the 1st of April in 2024, we start digging. Buckeye Lake, I just want to report to you that we're having problems there. We're in somewhat of a drought. We have low levels. It's combined with the fact that we had a high occupancy rate in the last 2 weeks. We're using the well at Shane Park to feed the lake, and we've made adjustments to the water plant to slow the water plant down, make the same amount of water over a longer period of time. That increases our costs. It makes us less efficient, but I did want to report to you that the lake is low, and we're having difficulty keeping up with the permit requirements. New trash passes are out. They're purple. They're in effect at the convenience center. I do want to remind all single-family residents of the twice per week curbside pickup. More and more people are taking advantage of that, and it seems to be working out well. If you look at page 59 in your book, under solid waste report, we had 6 months of declining solid waste, and we talked about the trend last month of maybe that leveling out. And now we've had the last 2 months show a 19% increase in solid waste, May and June. June is expected. We typically see a higher occupancy here, but compared to last year, we had a higher occupancy, but we're 19% ahead in May and June. Again, what does that mean? It means we are hauling more solid waste to the Watauga landfill. Our costs increase every ton that we dump, so we need to monitor that as closely as possible. If you'll turn to page 70 under the planning and inspections report, our planner, Preston Yates, reports that permits are slowing but still well above our average over the last 4 years. As a note, there has been 69 new single-family residents built in the past 2 fiscal years. That's a big increase. What does that mean for the town? Obviously, people say, well, you get more tax money. That's true. There's an impact to our utilities and our services that we provide for those 69 homes. And on page 71, right next to it, code enforcement, we report those to you on a monthly basis. We're at the highest number of code enforcement cases this year, and that trend is increasing as we have more people moving to the mountain and more issues that need to be addressed from a code enforcement perspective. And let's see, Sean gave you the Parks and Rec report, so I won't go through that with you. Revenues show a decrease. Sean explained that. We believe it's from the lack of memberships as we transition to the Silver Sneakers group. But you'll see that Shane Park brought in a sizable amount of money compared to what we were getting for campsites. And I believe that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Council comments?
I just had one question on the fire department.
Yes, ma'am.
The hydrant inspections went way down for this period versus last period. Is that good news? Yes.
Well, we do, I don't do them anymore. Tim Holland and his crew does them. We do hydrant inspections usually in April and May. So we see a big peak, and then we do them sporadically when there's a repair or a replacement. So there'll be a big peak in the spring, and then that number will stay constant.
Okay.
Next month, we'll start a fiscal year. It starts from 0, and you'll see that those numbers start ticking up.
That was my only question.
Good. You still have nothing?
I'd like to bring up RV camping again.
You and John can have a long discussion later.
So I just wanted to commend Chief Pudney and the town staff, everyone that's involved in keeping our numbers down. As Chief Pudney said, we're right at 11% below the benchmark with our expenditures. And another impressive number is in the general fund balance, where last July we were right at $6 million, and today we're at 8.4. And that's money that we've put in the bank, and it's that's a healthy number. And this is also going to improve our financial position when the town borrows money down the road. You know, the more assets we have is going to secure a lower interest rate. And as Chief said, the flower baskets, they look really nice. And you know, it's been one of the things that I've wanted to do for years is beautification of the mountain. And this is a step in the right direction. I've noticed, Chief, that it looks like Public Works has started shaping some of these ditches that looks like maybe somebody with a backhoe that was inebriated made them a few years ago. But they're starting to straighten them up now, and it looks really nice. And I hope we can continue down that path.
We will. What set us back, and we're actually a couple weeks behind schedule, is that big rain we had about 6 weeks ago really set us back. We had to replace roads, culverts, a lot of ditch work. Now we're catching up to getting the grass mowed and making things look better than they had.
Mountain looks nice. Thank you to you and your staff.
Thank you.
Nothing?
Sure, it's great.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Boy, that's great. I mean, the only comment I have, well, I have two, actually. You're talking about the 911. Unfortunately, if you have a cell phone, we can't control what tower it goes to. Most people up here should have our phone number over here. Our dispatch, and she'd be able to send something out. But as far as the cell phone, it's potluck. Whatever it pings, that's where it's gonna go, unfortunately. But I do want to compliment our Bob and his team and our paramedics. We had I have a friend that had an emergency not long ago, and I'll tell you what, they have nothing but praise for our people. Very professional, right to the point. We had people come within 5 minutes to their house, start on a procedure, and they have not stopped talking about how fantastic our people are. So the fact is that we're paying for it, but let me tell you, it's worth every penny of it. And we were just at a meeting today in one of the big towns like Bald Rock. They're crying because they don't have any ambulance service. And they're looking at us and say, well, look at the beach. And right, we did the extra step. And I tell you what, it's saving lives, saving a lot of lives. And it's hard to count because a lot of people don't talk about them. But I got a report, or I speak with Bob, and he tells me the people that were injured or that we had to respond in a hurry and how we saved their lives. I'll tell you what, it's well worth it. And I really want to thank them. I want to thank Bob and his team for really working hard and making this work. So I think it's great.
Hope your friend's doing okay.
It's touch and go, but they'll survive. But it's going to be a longer process to get back the way
But
they were.
unfortunately, visitors would have no idea that we had to call the 828 number.
We can make it
Well,
so.
if they're visitors and they're on rental, they should have, if they're a short-term rental, they should have the full number of the 800 number. that's really the responsibility of the people that are renting their homes. They should always have an 800 number on their Frigidaire or somewhere where the people come in, that they know in case of emergency, who to call. But really, the truth of the matter is, the worst person to call is the seller, because we don't know where it's going.
I've heard from a friend that even if you cancel your landline service, you can still call 911.
I can't, I really don't know what it is. But all I know is that the important part is, your house is being rented, put the number for emergency.
What is the number?
The 800 number.
You know, if you're like at the country club, and the nice thing about the club is when you dial 911 from their landline, it does go directly to PD, and then they have the exact address. And not to discount what you said about the cell phones, but, you know, we're at the mercy of the cell towers, and that's common throughout the United States. When you dial 911, it may go to Arizona. You have no idea.
The number's 828-387-2342.
If we could not do that, you dial 911 for emergencies, that we've spent millions of dollars nationwide to get 911 out. The town requires all short-term rentals to have a hardwired landline. If you dial 911, as the councilman said, it goes to our E911 system and tells us exactly where you are. So dial 911. If it goes to Tennessee, they'll transfer you to Watauga. You'll eventually get to us, but 911 is the call for an emergency.
And then the other number is for non-emergencies.